I'm back for this sort of Christmas special. Well, it is Christmas, but Christmas is gone. This is the sort of lull before the storm of January the 1st, if you know what I mean. Yeah, 2020, like the vision. In any case, I did a review of this this body from Guitar Build, a company called Guitar Build in the UK. And yeah, it's a, what is it? It's a walnut body, and I finished it with true oil. There's a video somewhere out down there or in my channel somewhere for you to go and look at. Very nice it is too, and it's a great price. I also have a genuine Fender neck. Now I have screwed these things on, don't come with them. And these are the sort of Strat locking type, genuine Fenders, but they like a sort of matte silver, which it's slightly different than some of the other stuff I'm going to be fitting, but there you go. Real nice neck at the back that's like matte, and a high gloss finish at the front. I bought this new, by the way, and it was about £370, so it's not a cheap piece of gear, but I did want to make the guitar look a bit different. And you know what? For this entire build, this guitar is different. It's different than every other one that I've ever done, on camera or off. It's different for many reasons, but really the reasons are that I want to make something that's different. It's that simple. It'll sound different if I want it to. It won't sound different if I don't. It's got a particular bridge in there, which has also been reviewed close up already by Halon, a company called Halon Guitar Products. And it's got some pickups in there that will remain nameless for now, but I can assure you, you're going to want to see them and hear them later when the guitar is finished. It'll be one video. So, well, where do we start? I'm not going to cover 1,000 things and go into the greatest of depths on this video. I'm going to show you how I put it together, basically. But if you want in-depth stuff, I've done that on other videos, and I don't really want to do that on this one, because I've got a life too. So let's get right down to it. Where do we start with something like this? Well, I usually start in one place, and that's with a neck, and I usually fit these on, but I've already done that. It's not rocket science. You screw them in, tighten the nuts, and you're in business. Well, generally. Next thing, well, what I normally do is I go and fit this on here. Yeah, this can look great. Different colours, you know. Yeah, I screw that on there, but this one's slightly tight. Now that could be a bit of finish that's got down there, or this could be slightly too wide, or 1,000 things. The point is, I'm going to sand the body slightly because I know the neck's genuine and I know it's brand new and it shouldn't need to be rubbed down. So I'm going to go and do that now. It doesn't fit as standard. And when I've done that, we'll come and have a look. Well, I'm back. Oh, I haven't fitted it. Well, I haven't, because I just wanted to show you how tight we need to have this. We don't want it flopping around in the wind. We don't want it so tight that when you push it in, if you pull it back out, it lifts all the finish off, which can happen. Now, I use 320 and 180 aluminium oxide to do the sanding. And strangely, I don't use a block. I use a steel ruler and bend it round, and you can really get in there to the little areas where it's a bit tight. And when you're using a body that's made out of walnut's much harder than the likes of some of the other woods you might be using, like alder or ash. Yeah, so you've got your work cut out. Anyway, I've done this one. I've got the bits all over the place to prove it. They're all here, but don't worry, it won't make any difference to you. So I also just touched up the edges very, very slightly to get them down a little bit to where the finish is nearly gone. It's still there, but so it's protected, but it just makes it that little bit easier. So you should be able to take your neck like this, and you've got to be careful you put it in. Don't just slide it that way. You can't do that. You've got to sort of do this, and you go like that, and you make sure it's lined up, and then you just press. And if you've got it as tight as that is, it's a good job. Oh, it's flopping around. Go get another body. Or go get another neck. Could be even worse. Or go get 2 new ones. You know, buying reasonable parts matters. And you can see, well, you can't see, but you will do, because I'll probably put a picture or 2 up right now. You can see that the neck's actually a very good fit, and that's what you want. It took me 10 minutes. How hard does it have to be? Anyway, that's the neck in position, and we're going to move on and screw it on. Now, I could use any old neck plate, but what I found was that thinner ones are not so great. I happen to have this custom shop one here. It's in gold, but you know what? I don't really care. Everything else isn't in gold, but, well, the bridge is in like chrome style or steel. This is in brush steel. So that's in gold. I'm doing a PRS, if you've ever noticed. They've got different coloured bits all over the show. It's good enough for them. It's good enough for me. It's good enough for you if you've got one lying around. Oh, you want to get everything exactly matched? Well, that's fine. But remember, I'm building this one to be a bit different. So that's going on. And I'm going to fit it now. There it is out the packet. Well, hey, I know you're going to laugh. But I just, you know, it being Christmas, I've got some bits over. This one says Oscar, but yours could say anything. What am I going to do? Bake a cake? No, I'm not. What I'm going to do, I'll let you into the secret about Oscar. Not many people know this about him, but he's a bit of a slippy guy. So what you can do, you can pull him out like so. And you could, if you wanted to, pull the O off, or any of the others, and you can light it up. You can just drip a little bit of wax onto those threads, so that when you put them in there, they slide in. That sounds like a plan, doesn't it? So I think I'll bake a cake. What do you think? Vote down there whether you want the O, the S, C, A, R. Well, there's the only ones I've got, but yeah, I'm going to do that. Bear in mind it's sort of seasonal time for things like that. I must be getting mad. Hold on. Now listen, if you're some sort of serial killer, don't play with matches, because they sort of light things before they go on to other things. You don't want to be doing that. Let's do this instead. It's all simple. You get your match, assuming it works. Oh my God, let's find a better one. Okay, these cheap and nasty matches don't work. I'm not a smoker, right? I usually use these for filling the holes in that other people have drilled in necks and things like that, or maybe in bodies. They're good for that. It's just a little Tony tip. Yeah. Don't try and light them, will you? Oh, you're there. No, this doesn't work either. I've tried it. Well, now I've got some matches. Let's see if it works. I opted for the S instead, for snake. And there we go. If you're anything like me, you've probably got millions of these Oscar things around. So all you need to do is to let that build up a bit, and just stuff the stuff on the bottom. It'll sort of run on there, if you can sort of see what I'm doing. Don't worry if you can't. Anyway, there's one. Just put a bit on all of them, and they'll all be good. There you go. You don't need too much, just a little bit. This is the most fun part of the thing. And there it is, a simple matter, just to screw the other screws in. With a little bit of wax on. It's all very simple. And of course, don't over tighten them, will you? Well, there you go. It's not actually rocket science, is it? It's four screws and a plate. But do make sure you get the neck straight. And a good guide, if you've got a good body like this one, is actually that edge there. Yeah, they'll make that straight. So you put your neck up against that. And that's what I normally do. Well, oh my God, what's next? Well, I'm not going to show you the pickup shit. We're going to move on to the tremolo unit, and that needs a little bit of drilling. As you can see on this one, well, I think you can see on this one, it's got 6 little holes that need drilling out. And you have to be a little bit careful. When you're working on walnut, it's very hard wood. And you can chip this if you're not really careful. So you just need to be a little bit careful. In fact, I'll give you a little tip. What does Tony do? Well, if you've got some holes where nobody's really going to see them, but you don't want to flake the edges of the hole, which trust me you will if you're not careful, you need one of these. Yeah, I'll probably put one of these up on screen right now. It's a countersunk thing, and you just countersunk the hole, if there is already a hole. Well, that one I suppose, but I'm not going to do that. But just countersink it just a little bit, and then you don't get it flaking off and going all horrible. Particularly on walnut. The rest doesn't really matter unless you've got another hardwood. So let's go and get the bridge out, because this is something a bit special. You might have seen the previous video where I showed you about the bridge in close-up fashion. But this is no ordinary bridge. This is really a top-end bridge for what will end up being probably a top-end guitar, even though it's got different coloured bits. And don't harp on about that. That's just a personal preference. I like it. Don't you? You don't? Oh my God. Let's get the bridge out. Well, just in case you didn't see the previous thing about the Halon bridge, here it is, and it comes in a fabulous box. What's special about this bridge, honestly, very special, is the materials that have been used are very different than what you'd normally expect. Well, here we are. Here's the Halon guitar parts bridge. And while it might look absolutely ordinary to you, the fact is it's not ordinary. Let's take a quick look around it. Yeah, this says Mexican. That doesn't mean it's made in Mexico, by the way. This is made in Europe. But it uses for this block 1060 steel, which is a little bit better than even the ones from Callahan, which are softer steel. These take a lot of machining, but they're also very heavy and they affect the tone. Always important, affects the tone. Yeah, it's all there, isn't it? Well, let's talk about it a few seconds. I'm not going too long because we've already done this. So the block and the plate made of 1060 steel. Or you can have this made of 7075 aluminium. Or MS58 brass, which is basically bell brass. You know what that's all good for. And you can have it in chrome, gold, or no real finish, you know, just a natural sort of finish. That's pretty good. And it contributes quite dramatically to the sound. However, you can see this back plate. It's also much thicker than what you'll see on most of them. They're generally about 2 millimeters. I'll talk in millimeters because it's a European product. But in fact, this one's 2.8 millimeters, and it again, it does contribute to the overall, you know, sound. It's an uncommon thing. More importantly still, the guys at Halon Guitar Parts have made these saddles out of different materials. And this is what you can have. You can have 1060 steel, 7075 aluminium, MS58 brass, which we got some of these that we're going to put on when the guitar's finished, when we're playing. We'll do a couple of swap overs. You can also get titanium, beryllium copper and phosphor bronze, and each one of these types of materials affects the tone. And I know that the guy there was telling me that the titanium ones are awesome. I don't know how much they are, but it's a little bit irrelevant when you're building something that you want to be really good. Anyway, I could harp on a lot more about this. If you want to find out more, there's a review below of the whole thing and I go into much more depth. But if you want to find out more from this maker, go to halonguitarparts.com, I think it is. Well, whatever's on the screen. Now I'm going to go back up and we'll get this thing fitted. Well, as you can see there, it drops straight in. And I did speak to a guy named Harris, who's one of the owners. And he said, oh yeah, you need this one. So that was the bridge they sent. I've got to drill a few holes in here because I don't like just pushing this, these screws in just with no hole. That's not a good idea, especially on this type of material. So I'm going to go and drill them now and fit the screws, and I'll show you after what I did. It's all easy. Well, should be. So there's the bridge in place. Not too difficult, you just basically screw it in. But when you screw these screws in on this type of bridge, the 6 screw jobby, which is a bit of a, because the body's like a sort of 60s, 62 type of body, just screw it in so that if I was to screw that any further, this would start to lift. So make sure it's flat, screw it in until it just starts to lift, then just back it just a tiny amount so that this doesn't actually lift at all. And that's how simple the bridge is to fit up this side. So let's turn it over and take a look at the back, where we need to fit the springs and things like that. Now, as part of the kit from Halon Guitars, you've got this. This is a stainless steel type of claw. And part of the reason that gives that away is you've got a screw in here because it's very hard to actually solder to stainless steel. It's stainless, isn't it? But they've got these 2 screws. And what you need to do is to put these 2 screws in. They screw into the guitar. And it's all fun. Now, it can be quite difficult getting them straight and getting them in the right place. So I'm just going to show you how to do that on the real guitar. So what you need is the claw, and you need the 2 screws, and they screw in right there on the inside. But of course you've got to mark them, so if we pull this out the way, we put that in. Now you don't want it flat on the bottom, you want it up slightly. That would say about like so. Too high and you'll have all this wood cracking and things like that up here. So you don't want it absolutely on the ground, so I'd say up just a bit, like so. And you want it central, which is another thing. Now, unfortunately, I did mark them, but it's not so easy for you guys to see. I can see where they've got to go, but you probably can't because the wood's very dark. So with a bit of luck, you can now see the 2 holes I've marked, and I'm just going to drill them out and try and keep this drill as straight as you can. Don't have it up angled like that or anything like that, else it'll come out the front. And by the way, the sort of drill that I use is a drill like that. A long, thin drill. Well, hey, there you go. But you can see how the drill just sort of touched this edge here, and there's another little bit further back. Not that it matters in my case, because I am having a cover over for a specific reason, but we'll get to that. There's a little tiny bit there too. Very difficult to get nice, unless you've got a tiny little drill that works easy. This one doesn't. And there's a quick shot of 3 of the springs on. Might turn out to be enough, or it might not. We'll see later on. But I'll leave it at that for now. And with the arm fitted, it's a really solid Tremolo unit. And that's how you do it. Now, of course, you haven't seen every last bit of tittle-tattle that I had to do. There's no real point. I'm not getting to the nth degree with this. I just want to get it finished and be a pretty good job for what it is. But it does look better now than it did before, don't you think? Yeah, looks very nice indeed. Well, let me put that down. Where do we want to go from here? Well, I always said that this guitar would be a little bit different than some of the others that I've made. Well, in fact, it's different than every single one, as I've said before. And I want you to put a plate on here, and let me show you the couple of plates that I had a choice of. Well, firstly, I had this thing. Bought this from China. And here it is. It's an anodized aluminium plate, and I think that if we were to put that on, just leave it moist for now, I think it'll look pretty cool. I don't know about you, but I think that'd be pretty nice. Yeah, but it doesn't really match, does it? Because it's chrome and gold, and I know I've got gold plate round the back, but you can't see that, can you? Yeah, so I decided against it. I'll save it for a rainy day. But I always think about the aesthetics of the guitar, even down to the light and the dark and all that sort of stuff. You know, how it looks. Sniffing again, it's all the drilling. How it looks really does matter. And if you tell me it doesn't matter, well, what about all them crappy guitars Fender make that look old? It's just pure aesthetics, it's nothing else. It's just a new guitar looking old. Why pay $2 more for that? I don't quite get the mentality of that one. I don't want to get it either. I like guitars to look new, don't you? Of course you do. So, well, some of you might balk at this. I had a look around for one of the plastic covers, or scratch plates, or pickguards, call it what you will. And I found one, but they're not that easy to find actually. And I don't know how well it comes up on this video. But this is actually like see, it's very bright, I can see there. But in reality, this is like an ice cream. No, not an ice cream. Christmas is gone. You're not getting 2 ice creams on here. A nice cream. So if we fit that, getting worse, aren't I? Well, it's just Christmas season, isn't it? You've got to, you know, join in a bit. If we fit that, you'll see that in reality, it works perfect. And I hate to say this, but part of the reason of choosing that pickguard in that exact colour, with that neck, with that body like that, I mean, it's beginning to look rock and roll. But I wanted something different for the pickups. Now I have done a separate review on the pickups, just a close-up, you know, and talked about them quite a lot. So I'm not going to talk about them a lot here. It will be down there somewhere where you can go and have a look at the review of the pickups. And I'm going to go and get them now, and I'm going to show you what they are finally. And you'll like them or you'll hate them, I don't really care, doesn't matter. There they are. Just look at any old pickups, don't they? They look quite nice. Yeah. They look like any old Fender pickups. Oh my God, I've got a backplate that's black. Well, I tried to get a white one, but I couldn't get one for anything like the money I could buy the black one. So, being the skinflint that I am, I bought the black one because it's round the back and a bit like the gold neck plate, you can't see it. We'll come back to that later. Well, let's take a look at these. Fishman Fluence. Single width. Don't even ask about that. Multi-voice pickups for electric guitar. Single width for Strat. Voice 1. Vintage single coil. Oh, you're a vintage guitar guy. Vintage tone. Well, it's here. Try it here. Oh, you're not one of them. You're more of a SRV type of guy, right? Well, don't worry. pull the switch and you've got hot Texas single coil. So these, in reality, are an absolutely excellent choice for that guitar there. And I'll tell you what, with that type of wood, that type of neck, and with this type of pickle, it's going to be very, very good. Whether you're a clean type of guy, or whether you're more of a SRV type of guy. I'm neither. But don't worry about that. I just wanted a Strat that can do this stuff. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the kit and fit it. Yeah. Getting down to these pickups. If you've never seen these before, check out my other review. It will be down there in the text that I completed before we came to actually fit these. So I'm really going to get on with fitting these rather than talking about them all day. Maybe just a couple of minutes and that's going to be it. We don't want to be here forever, do we? So I've got these and I've got this type of pickup per scratch plate, pickguard, call it what you will. So I think we're going to fit them on that. There's a couple of things I've got to do with this before we go much further. I like to do just a few things, but like peeling the stuff off the front, you know. So we're going to fit them, and then we're going to fit all the rest of it, and it's all going to be good. Yeah, I've got some other bits over there, so let's work on this and this, and move the rest out of the way for now. Yeah, this is the next stage. I'll leave the battery until later. There's no point in getting involved with that, is there? I don't think there is. No. Now, have I ever done one of these before? No. I know as much about this stuff as you do. So take heed of that, because if I can do it, and I've never done one of these in my life, you can do it, and you've never done one in your life either. Think about that. Let's get rid of the box. I can go over there a bit. What's this here? Where you buy them from? Oh, in England these were £220 from stringslingers.co.uk. I haven't dealt with them much before, so they are what they are, and it does include tax at 20%. So yeah, they are expensive. I think they're a couple of $100 plus, even in America, so I guess you get what you pay for. Well, let's get down to this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in so we can get the complete idea of what I do, so you can follow me. That sounds like an idea, and when it's done we'll crack on. First job is we've got to whip off the cover that's on it, I guess. If you can get it off. Not easy. Well, there it goes. Don't forget to peel it off, will you? I mean, silly me, I went to the Dallas Guitar Show and got a load of signatures on the front of one. And guess what? I never took this off. So the signatures are not on the pickguard, they're on the protection, so how good's that? Well, it's terrible. So don't make that mistake yourself, will you? I like to peel all this stuff off. It's only any good while we make it. And after that, let's get rid. Throw that over there. Look what a fantastic pickguard this is. I think that's got all of it off. Yeah, it's a really nice sort of colour. On the back of this one, I like to have this shielding all around here. But on this guitar it doesn't matter. The reason it doesn't matter is these things, they're a bit like humbuckers in some way, but they aren't going to have the same problem that everything else has, right? Because they're just built completely different. So let's come back down and have a look at this stuff. There's a diagram in here somewhere, which me and you are going to work to. There it is. Yeah, I'll put that up there for my reference for now. and we can get on with it and get the thing built. So I guess I could put the pickups in. That'd be a plan, really. Why not? Let's do the easy bit first. And these are in the order that they go in. So this one's the bridge, middle, neck. Doesn't seem to say that, but that's what it is. I'm pretty sure of that. If you look at the diagram, it's got more wires. So is that one. So let's whip them out and fit them in there. Hold on, I'll be back. Now, for anybody who's never fitted one of these, I mean, I'll show you, but it's just so easy. Basically, you fit it with this bit, this angle this way, and the wires coming this way. Then we can sort of flip it over. And if you look at these, they've got the bit of rubber on. You'll see it. You just push down on the table, and that'll come off. An easier way of fitting these, if you really want, is take that through there. Like so. Same with the other one. And then just fit the pickup to there. And just tighten your screw up a little bit, so it doesn't fall out. So I'm going to go and fit the other one. So right now yours should look just like that. Not like that. Like that. Okay, well, the next bit we're going to want is the switch, which fits in there. So notice I've got a Fender one. That's the part number. In case you can't see it, or you can see it, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. This one does say made in Mexico. I think they all say that, so don't worry. You get a couple of screws and the switch. Right. Now you can fit these switches any way round, I guess. I tend to do mine like that. And you just take your two screws and fit it, which I'm going to go and do now. There it is fitted, and all they gave me was a black one and a white one of these things, so I'm going to find a cream one when I get a chance. But now it's time to fit all these things, so I'm going to fit that one, and that one, and this is for somewhere else. So I'm just following the diagram. Okay, let's go and do that. Well, as you can see, we've got the 3 pickups in, not wired. We've got the controls as we want them, again not wired. In fact, that's the next thing to do from this diagram. You can see it's all pretty much like what that is. So yeah, I'm going to be doing all the wiring next, keeping that all nice and neat, and don't cut them back unless you really need to. So that's the next stage in this job. So I'm not going to sit here showing you how to do that, because there's no real point. It's just soldering. Oh, you can't solder. Well, you need a bit of practice, right? But it's not too hard. And don't forget, when you're tightening these things up, do use a proper socket wrench, won't you? You don't want any aggro. By the way, I had to, because this is not, I don't think it's a genuine plate. It might be. ST3, well, it might be, it might not be. But in any case, I had to ream out these 3 holes for these 3 pots. Now, it could be that these pots are a different size than a standard Strat, but somehow I don't think so. So bear in mind, if you haven't got a reamer and you've got to ream them out, you can be getting your file out and messing around somewhat. It's all easier for me because I've got a reamer. A tapered one works well. 13mm tapered reamer. So I'll be back in a moment. I'm going to do that wiring like I said. I'm going to fit the capacitors and the odds and bits and pieces and so on and so forth, and I'll show you the result in a few minutes to you and in about 20 minutes to me. Okay, well, here it is, the wired in product. Notice that blue wire there. That's a wire called HT tilt or something they call it. And you can run that down to a little switch and then run the other side of the switch to ground, and that'll take away some of the top end of the pickups, which I thought was interesting, but I'm not going to drill it for now. I've just left it dangling really. It's sitting as a spare. I had to carry out a mod to the wiring so that for the external battery, and this is for the other bits and pieces. So I'm going to go and fit that now in the top of the guitar, and we'll have a look at what the plan is next. I'm still waiting for some components, so we'll see. Hold on. Okay, well here we are after fitting the plate and doing the wiring. I've got a bit left here because I haven't got that piece yet. No doubt it will arrive at some stage. So I've got to fit the screws. I've got to fit the little knob on the top. Oh, I could do that now. Why don't we? There you go. You just feel better now, don't you? We've got the 3 knobs to fit. The screws, of which I'm going to actually use, oh, let's reach across, gold screws. So there. Do I care why? No, I don't. Doesn't make any difference whatsoever to the sound. Around the back, it's not easy to show you really at the minute. I've got the wire for the battery, and I've got the ground to screw in. Well, you just wrap that round and tighten it up on this one, which is pretty good. And then I'll have to fit the battery around the back, but we'll come back to that. So for now, I'm going to get down and fit this. You just screw it on. But you do want to actually drill the holes first. Don't just try and screw it together. That's not a good idea. So I'm going to go and do that and maybe fit these knobs and get this little bit tidied up, and then maybe fit the battery at the back, and we'll go from there. Okay, well here we are. I've got the knobs on, they all seem to work. Push pull too, if you can grasp it right. I've got the screws in. I've got a plate to put on here yet. Got the trem working pretty well. Feels to me like it's going to have to be backed off a bit, but there's no strings on yet. Round the back we fitted the plate. Very nice it is too. Yeah, charges there. Back plate there. All nice. All raring to get the strings fitted almost. Well, I'm waiting for this, so I'll probably fit the strings anyway, because that won't make much difference. And I can still test this without the end plate. Okay, well here we are. Just before we went any further, I thought we'd take the battery and charge it. And as you can see now, the green light's on. I left it on overnight, if you want the truth. So yeah, overnight will give you up to 240 hours worth of playing on this guitar, which is just incredible. It's not actually very thick either. Relating to what you're getting, and okay, there's a little bit in it, but I doubt it's going to bother you. Well, here we are. Another day, another way. Where do I make these things up from? Okay, so all we've got to do is fit the little plate for here, which I'm about to do. And when we've done that, what we're going to do is just plug it in and just tap on these things just to make sure they work, because if you've got a problem with your wiring, you could have done it before, but I tend to leave it till now because I'm better than you. Hopefully it'll work. And yeah, then I can carry on. But if there was a problem, it's just a question of taking the screws off and flipping the scratch plate or pickguard out. And that saves a lot of time and messing around rather than moving on to the rest of the stuff. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, well it's really a simple matter to fit one of these things. Obviously you don't want too much wire out like I have. So what you can do is just push some of the wire back in. And that makes sense. You don't want to start cutting and hacking. That's an important aspect. But when you're fitting these things, what you do want to do is to have them, I know it sounds stupid, but it's to have them the right way around so that this thing here, this long one, isn't going to catch on anything. Now you could have it facing down, you'll probably get away with that. So I think that's what we'll do. You just take your screw off. These things always are a bit of a pain in the neck, aren't they? Yeah, see, that sticks through too much really. See that? So let's solve that. The real trick in getting this on here in the right place is, of course, it's putting the right washers on. Well, I tend to put one of them on. And one of these star washers stops the thing coming loose, well, the nut coming loose later. You see, by the time you've got that on, when you've got a washer on, if you want to put a washer on, that is, you've got the nut on. By the time you've got the nut on, don't forget to use a wrench, will you? It's about right, you see that? Yeah. So I need to just nip that up and then we can carry on. Now you need that to be tight, because if you don't, it's going to go all over the place, all over the show, so to speak. Let me push them wires down a bit so we can get this plate on. So here's the little test before we start drilling holes. Looks pretty good to me. So that's where it's going to be drilled. So there, the hole's ready to go. And here's my two little gold ones, because I've got no chrome ones. Do I care? No. And neither should you. It makes it your guitar, doesn't it? Rather than just being an off-the-shelf piece of whatever. And there's a quick shot of the guitar so far. I think you could agree that it looks pretty cool. That nice sheen on it as well. Nothing overly done, you know. What I've got here. See, you get these little solder bits, don't you? That's it, there they go. One great thing about the True Oil, it doesn't really do anything other than just protect it. Now if that was a different type of finish, it'd be all over. But it's not a different type. That's what we've got, and it's all looking pretty good. So I'm going to test this now. I'll show you how I do that in a simple way rather than faffing around. You're right, you've guessed it. I take a lead, I plug it in the E-band. I haven't got to go anywhere for that. And I plug it in here and I go around tapping things, and you'll hear them if it works. And of course, if it doesn't work, you won't hear them. Now in here we've got a lot of noise, so expect the noise, but I can take something like this and just tap on the pickup. So I'm turning on there, turn it up a bit maybe. Oh, you can see you don't even need that. That works. That works. Yeah, that works. So we got this one to pull out. Yeah. Yeah. It all sounds good. I know it doesn't sound good on camera, but proves it works, and that's all that matters. Oh, and by the way, at this particular point, you can put all your drills away, you can put your soldering iron away, you know, you can clear up the mess that's behind me before the wife comes in. You haven't got a wife, aren't you lucky? Well, here we are at the string stage. Yeah, it all looks pretty cool. I've got 9-42s. I like these Ernie Ball Super Slinkies because they're not 8s and they're not in the over 50s like me. Anyway, these are what I'm going to use, so I'm going to put them on there now, and we'll take a quick look at that neck. Well, actually, I'll just do a quick look at the neck before we go any further. That sounds like a plan. And it really is a quick look. I'm just going to take this and have a look to see what's going on there. Not a lot. There's nothing going on there, so here's a quick check. Just put your ruler across. Actually, somewhere about here, you should have about an 8th thou. I think it was 7th or the 8th fret, something like that, 9th fret even. But it's covered in my other videos, and this one doesn't need it, so I'm not going to go do that, but that's basically how you do it. I'm going to fit the strings now, and we'll look a bit further. I just want to say something just before I continue fitting these strings. What I am going to do, just for now, is to take this back cover off, because I want to adjust the tremolo, and you can't get at it with that on. So you'll see that come off. One of the very first things you must do when you've actually put your strings on, now I haven't tightened them up or anything ridiculous like that. Yes, I want you to take a very close look around this area, and can you see the gap at each side of the fretboard? It's about the same, and it should be about the same on yours. Well, if yours isn't the same, what you really need to do is slightly slacken the neck, and you can sort of pull the neck from left to right, not down here but from the other end, off camera, the headstock end, and you'll find that the neck will move just a little bit in that socket. Usually, not always, some of them are very, very tight, but usually you'll have this little bit of movement so you can align up the strings on each side, and that's a very important thing, because what happens on a lot of strats is this top E falls off the neck. Now mine's in a pretty good position there, so I'm not too worried about it, but you might be. So you need to be a little bit careful about this setting. Okay, well the next thing I'm going to do is to tune the guitar up and make adjustments to the two screws on the back that have got the springs on. And when I've done that, I'll come back and show you, and then we'll have a look at how the heights are and things like that. So hold on, I just wanted to show you this first because that's a critical, important aspect, very critical. Now, as I'm adjusting the strings to regular E, you can see that getting these level lifts the bridge. You can see that it's lifted. Now I like it almost with just with a tiny little bit of lift, and that's got more lift than I like. So for me, I need to take those screws at the back and just tighten them in a little bit, which will help to just bring this about to there, and then I've still got that bit of uplift. If I continue to try and tune in now, these strings will keep being out of tune, and this thing here will go up and up and up and up and up and up. So the trick is to balance off by screwing those two screws in the back and the claw, just a little bit at a time until you find there's a happy balance. It's like a balance of the system, and once you get there, it's all good. So I'm going to go and adjust those in a little bit now. Now we can just whip through it to make sure it's still in tune after I've put the back on and made the adjustments to the in and the out. I had to screw it in about a turn and a half on both screws, just for your information. Not that it matters to you because yours will be different, but as you can see, it does actually sound. Yeah, it's not a great sound yet, and there's virtually no action. You know, it's touching down here. So these are out a bit, and I can tell that because when you look at these adjuster screws, if they were this far out all the time, they'd be digging into your hand as you play. So that's an adjustment that's going to be made. But I also want to take a look at the neck first. So let's just zoom down there. Now, I'm not going to go through all the rigmarole of how you set it all up because I've done it on other videos that I've completed. But I just want to show you something about the neck that you should check, and it'll give you a clue as to where you are with the guitar. Simply. Now remember this, that I have done a few of these from experience. Yeah, one or two. So what I want to do is to just make sure that the neck's got some sort of relief on it, because if it hasn't, you're going to end up with other troubles. And you know, there's a simple way and a much harder way to check all of that, but I just do it by eye often. But if I take this at the 12th fret and I press down here, I just look at that string, you can see that it moves down. Let's go a bit closer. Yeah, so here we go. Let me just do that again. And you can see that in about the middle, they all press down. You see that? Bit harder to see at the far side, but they all have, the neck has a sort of bow like that, if you get me. And it creates a bit of a gap when you're holding it down at the 12th fret. Just like that. Now I think it should be about 7th hour, something like that, but check it out yourself. Mine is going to stay as it is, because I know that's just from what I've done historically. It looks about right to me. So now I can start adjusting the saddles and all the intonation and the rest of it. So that's the first thing to do once you've got your strings lined up, in my opinion. That's one of the first things to do. Pull your tremolo so that it's in tune, and then check this, and then you can go from there. And the next thing I'm going to be doing is down at that bridge, adjusting those saddles higher. Let me show you why I'm going to adjust them higher. The reason is so simple, because with an action as low as that, let me get the little pointer. With an action as low as that, it's not going to work. Yeah, they all want adjusting up on the height of the saddles. You can see that it's a minuscule. It's really quite a minuscule amount that these are moving. In fact, that B's, yeah, the lowest one. Yeah, so I'm looking down at the bridge. I can see that the B is actually the lowest one. So I'm going to adjust these up a little bit until they feel right for me. There are measurements you can make, 5/64ths, 3/64ths, and so on. I do that sometimes, but equally I've done guitars where if it feels right, it usually is. Yeah. Now looking at that bridge, you can see that these screws stick out, and they stick out because really they are set a bit too low. So one of the first things to do is get that string height correct, and you'll notice that these will tend to go away a little bit at least, and if they don't go away enough, well, we can change them for smaller ones. But from what I see there, it's sure enough got the curve on it, but they need to go in a bit further than where they are, or I'm going to have a ragged hand and not be able to play because the action's too low. So I'm going to go and do that now, and I'll show you the results. Okay, well, now we've got some idea of the sound, the factors, it works, and there's a reasonable action on this guitar. It's quite a good action actually, and it sounds very difficult without the strap and the rest of it, but it does actually play. It's not very loud and all the rest of it, but that doesn't really matter. And if I push that in, it'll probably be cleaner. It is cleaner. So if we knock it out of tuner, intonation's got to be done. It's got some reverb in there and some delay and things like that. I'm not worried about that. I just want a sound out of it, and then we can work on the intonation. And I'll probably put a string tree up here. Yeah, just one of them. I'm like that. So sounds really nice. Yeah, so the pickups sound to be it's not set up yet. But you get the idea. So I'm not going to do the intonation. I might show you a little bit of how to do it, but it's not really rocket science. And we're getting there. This bridge is pretty much right where I'd like it to be. The screws in the top have gone in a long way, so they're not going to be digging in your hand like they would have been Had you not bothered to do anything, you know. Some guys who make guitars just, oh, that'll do. Well, it will do if you know what you're looking at, but it won't do if you're just gonna, that'll do and, oh, my hand. So the magic is, make it not do that to your hand and actually have it properly in tune. Yeah, which when you've done the intonation and you've done the heights and you've checked for that bit we did earlier, it's all good. Yeah. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to show you quickly. First thing you do is you want your bottom E in tune, as it is, just about. Yeah, it's as near as damn it, and then just touch it at the 12th fret and do the same, and they should be the same, which is nearly there. You see that if you look at the screen. That actually wants taking back on the saddle that way a little bit. You can see it was just slightly sharp, so just take it back a little bit. Let me just do that, and then we'll check the adjustment again. Now what you've got to do is adjust your E again. Like so. And then the 12th fret. Yeah, it's marginally sharp. Let's go a bit more. I'll probably solve it. Okay. Yeah, you see it's about right. See that? So that's how yours should be on every string, and you adjust the saddles accordingly. If it's sharp, make the string longer by moving the saddle back away from the neck. And if it's flat, move the saddle forward towards the neck and keep checking as you go. Now I'm going to go and do the rest, and we'll go from there. Okay, well here we are, and I'm just going to show you the intonation as I have it set up, and you'll see how accurate it is. Watch the screen. Put a little bit with that one. So there you have it, the intonation. Always worth looking at. I think I'll zoom down and show you the bridge now, just down there, so you can see that the way that the saddles are staggered and the heights of those threads after the adjustments. Well, there they are. These are slightly to cock to what I'd expect. I'd expect those top three to be like that. And this one's back a bit. Not that it matters. But those three are a better example, where you can see that they sort of go in like that. If I was fitting these from nothing, I'd set three like that, and then three like that. So you can see how mine turned out. Why it's further back, who knows? I don't really know the answer to that. I don't really care either. But it does work, and yeah, what can you say? And then we'll fit the string tree further up the neck, and yeah, not much more to do really. Okay, well, just faffing around in here. Sounds pretty good through a little tiny little Boss JS10 they call them. Do a lot with them, but they're very useful for when you're doing this stuff. So I think I've got the heights right. There's no choking off or anything like that. I think I've got the intonation right. I've got the sort of neck relief right, which I didn't have to really adjust. It's a bit weird, but that's how it works sometimes. I think the screws down the bottom are in the right place now, which they would be once you've set everything up, and so is the bridge. It's just where I like it. There's little things to do left, and one of them is to fit a string tree. Tiny little thing I've got here. I'll probably photograph it. You might see it on the screen now. That little thing, I've only got a gold one. I'm not going to go buy one just for the sake of it. So I don't really care about whether it's gold or whether it doesn't really matter. It might to you. This guitar is being built not really to sort of put in a cupboard, you know. I'll be playing this one off and on. So that was the idea with it. I just wanted to get into these pickups. Which, by the way, we did. I did do some work on the pickups, not on camera. Let me just zoom in for a second and show you that, because on these pickups, I think it matters. Well, I think from where you are, up there, that you can see I've set these pickups actually quite low. In fact, for me, they're very low, but they do sound good as they are. And I think the thing is, the further you take them up, you could get sort of artifacts coming out of the guitar that don't sound quite right. Now I might adjust them higher later after all the build and all the rest of it, but for a starting point, if you're going to use these Fishman Fluence, I recommend you use them pretty low down like that. After all, I'm pretty low down too. Down here where I am. So consider that, and then bring them up. Check your tone all the time on the clean settings, you know, because if they do bring out these artifacts, you'll know it. You can hear them, and that's one of the reasons I backed them down. So there you have it. Notice this one. There's only so far you can go back with this one, with all the wires and the rest underneath it. But it all works, and it could go down a bit more even, but it's not necessary. The bridge is doing a great job, and so is everything else. So like I said, we're going to go and fit that string tree now. So how do you know where to fit the string tree? Well, here's what I do. If you haven't got a Strat to refer to, go and get a book, or a book as they say in London. Yeah, if you go thumbing through this, you'll come across a picture, and what I normally do is photograph the picture, and then you've got something to work to, and it's pretty obvious where it goes. It goes between the second and the third tuner, somewhere about there, I would say. So put your little dot on, drill your hole, and you're in business. So that's the easy way of doing things, and I've used books like that to refer to when I haven't had all the guitars kicking around. It makes sense. So, okay, so I'm going to go and fit that now, and I'll be back. I've only got one more thing to do then, really. It's nearly done. Isn't that awesome? That didn't take much, did it? Oh, you didn't see it? Well, don't worry about that. It's not rocket science, but the real trick is to make sure you've got everything lined up right. And on these modern ones, I fitted a modern one because it's a gold one and it's the only one I had. I might change that later, but I might not. I'm like that. PRS can get away with it, so can I, as I said before. So that's fitted. Well, what's left? Well, I hate to say it. I've got a bit of crap in there. I hate to say it, there's only one thing left. And I'm going to fit these ones, these strap locks, because I happen to have a set. And yeah, they're gold, so they'll match that. Doesn't really matter. They are what they are. And they save your guitar from being ruined, really. So I'm going to go and fit them now, and I'll be back in a second. It's not rocket science, you just drill a hole and screw them on. But do remember that if you're using walnut, you want to have that little bit of a countersink once you've drilled the hole before you do anything else. Otherwise, Well, that's it for the guitar, and that's it for the tremolo. Hope you liked the review and the build and the rest of it. It all came out pretty reasonable, actually. What I didn't like, on that over there, the Boss Wazzer didn't sound very good with these pickups. Bear that in mind, won't you? As for the tremolo, on the bridge saddles I could tell the difference. There was some more toppy and some less toppy and that sort of thing. But, you know, I'm like a rock guy and I'm not one of these tone hounds, so I don't quite get the same feel for those sort of things. And it just depends what you're trying to do. And I do know that the ones that are in here now, the top secret weapon ones, that I don't know what they are either, actually. But no doubt Halon will tell me, Halon Guitars. And yeah, it's all very interesting. It's been an interesting ride with this one. So how would I score it? Well, I think the tremolo, no matter how you look at it, it's a 10 out of 10. It's made better than virtually anyone that I've ever seen. It's really, really well made and designed to last. On the rest of it, the body does exactly what it should do. Very nice body, made out of walnuts. And remember, it was just £145 or so from guitarbuild.co.uk. So he's pretty good. The neck's a regular Fender neck, and the rest of the guitar, apart from the pickups, I must say, was made out of bits that I had lying around from all the other builds, I guess. So what about the pickups? Well, I think they have the place, but I don't think they're really hyper more useful than some of the other Strat pickups I've got. What can I say about them? Well, they are powered. You have got the hassle of plugging them in every 200 odd hours. But I think that could be worth it to some people. You know, they're a very sort of, remind me a bit of like a hi-fi type of pickup. A bit like, to me, EMG. That springs to mind. But there's nothing wrong with that. It depends what you do with them. They have an awful lot of drive if you pull this button out. But with an amp like this, which is the one you've been listening to, Mezza Barber, I don't need any extra gain. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope you've enjoyed the video and the little bits that have gone with it, and learned a bit about the pickups and the trem unit and the rest of it. It's been interesting, but it's rest time now. So get out of here.